You've got to shoot this bit, Margaret. You've got to shoot it.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the White Alp podcast.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Rob, PR director of Ski Press and general ski geek, and that is my co-host Dom. He's publisher at In the Snow magazine,
and together we make up your favourite ski podcast dream team, don't we, Rob?
Yes, absolutely, Dom. And you know, this week our dream team has grown because we welcome a very special guest into the White Alp podcast.
Yeah, a very special edition of the White Alp podcast this week. We're focused purely on the French mountain region known as Isère, which has 4 fabulous mountain ranges, 21 resorts, Rob.
Oh, really?
Life's good. 21 resorts.
21 resorts. There's some pretty big ones in there too. You know, the likes of Alpe d'Huez.
Hold up. I'm going there this year. In fact, I'm going there in about 4 weeks' time. So that should be quite cool.
Nice.
I can bring that back into the podcast when I get there in 4 weeks' time. So it's my pre-Christmas ski, Rob.
Yeah, that's nice. I haven't been. I love Alpe d'Huez. I've been there quite a few times, not for a while, but also it's worth mentioning Les Deux Alpes, of course. And there's also some like really hidden gem type places, such as Les Sept Laux, which we covered in a special episode, season 2, episode 13. Can I say?
Perfect.
And also Auris and Oisan. I think I pronounced that right.
Auris and Oisan.
There we go.
Someone's going to be right in and tell us how badly we've said that, Rob.
No, I think we did all right.
So Isère, it's not Val d'Isère, is it? Let's just make that very clear.
No, you know, possibly a misconception there, Dom, but I mean, it's a good point. You know, it isn't Val d'Isère, it is Isère, the region.
So far better than us to be talking about this region is getting an expert in. So we've got Katja Gaskell, freelance journalist specialising in skiing. Her work regularly appears in publications like The Telegraph and Family Traveller, so the name's probably well recognised.
Absolutely. That's right. And Katja also works with Montagne Communications to help promote the Isère region to the UK market. And Katja spent a lot of time in the Isère region and skied many of its resorts, including Les Sept Laux, Vaujany, Alpe d'Huez, and Les Deux Alpes.
Oh, fantastic. So, welcome to the fabulous, prestigious stage of the White Alp podcast. Dry ice, flashing lights. Katja Gaskell, how are you?
I am very well. Thank you very much for having me.
Hi, Katja. So, look, Katja, maybe you could start off just by telling us a bit about yourself and also how you got involved with the Isère region.
Yeah, so as you mentioned in your excellent introduction, so I'm a freelance journalist and I have managed to carve out a nice niche in skiing journalism, so that's good. And I write a lot for sort of publications such as Telegraph and Family Traveller. Also done a piece for In the Snow. And I have been to, the Isère region a few times. So as you said, Les Deux Alpes a few times. Alpe d'Huez I skied for the first time last year, which was fantastic. And Vaujany, which I really loved, and Les Sept Laux, which was a real surprise. It's a fantastic sort of ski resort that's really popular with French families, but still pretty undiscovered by British families. So it's a region I know well, and I'm excited to sort of be spending some more time there.
You're an expert.
Well, there we go. I'll call myself an expert for the podcast.
I mean, I think a lot of skiers and snowboarders would recognise some of the names, you know, Alpe d'Huez, Deux Alpes, etc. I mean, they might know where those resorts are, but could you just kind of elaborate on that and tell us exactly where the Isère region is?
Yeah, so as you sort of said, you know, I think a lot of people do get confused between Val d'Isère and Isère, but, you know, Val d'Isère is in the Savoie department, in the Tarentaise Valley, in the Auvergne-Rhône Alps, in the southeast of France, but it is its own region. And Grenoble is the capital, so really easy to reach from the UK. You know, you can get a train to Paris and down to Grenoble, or you can fly straight to Grenoble, Lyon, nice. Chambéry. So super easy to reach, but as you mentioned, it's actually France's 3rd largest mountain destination with 21 ski resorts, which is quite incredible. So it's so there's a lot to choose from, and you've got these 4 beautiful mountain ranges: the Belledonne, the Chartreuse, famous for the green liquor made by the monks, and then you've got the Vercors and Oisans. So you've got all these ski resorts across 4 very different mountains, offering lots of different types of skiing.
So pretty nice, actually, thinking about, you mentioned those Grenoble and Chambéry, being able to fly in there is pretty neat as well, isn't it? Because you get that much quicker transit time through the airport. I know I've done that a few times, and actually you're in and out that airport or those airports much faster than I've noticed when I go through Geneva. So that's quite a nice little bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, Geneva in the winter is never a fun experience. So yeah, I think if you can avoid that, and even better.
Yeah, so having that extra choice, I noticed because I'm going down to, as I mentioned, to Alpe d'Huez just pre-Christmas, and I looked at some of the flights into Chambéry, I think it was, or one of the two airports, and there were great prices. I mean, I've chosen to drive in the end by electric car, but they were great prices flying in there, and I know, like I say, getting through the airport's quick, so it's quite a bonus that, but. Can you tell us what are the ski resorts that are part of that Isère region, just so that our listeners can be fully genned up on what we're talking about here?
Well, I'm not going to go through all 21, but I will. I will share some of the ones that should really be on your radar. So obviously you have the big ones of Les Deux Alpes and Alpe d'Huez, Vaugeny, and Oz 3300. Those two are also linked to the Alpe d'Huez ski domain. And then you've got Chartreuse, Les Sept Laux, Coronçon and Vercors, Villard-de-Lans, and Auris en Oisan. So yeah, some there that you really won't be as familiar with, I imagine.
Rob, we need to get her in as a voiceover artist. Those French pronunciations put us to shame.
That's
when we keep talking about Les Gets and places like that, I mean, we need to get her in.
Ooh.
I wasn't going to comment on the pronunciation in the introduction, but
I think we do all right, Don, but I must say Katja's pronunciation of those ski resorts was particularly good. So all noted in my head for future reference. Thank you very much, Katja.
So there's some pretty well known ones there, and a few lesser known ones. But maybe if you could tell us a little bit about those, and who they might be best suited for. What sort of activities you can do there, that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. So what I really like about these is that you've got such diversity of resorts. So you have, your pretty little traditional mountain villages, your purpose-built ski destinations, but there's a big diversity of terrain as well. So, it's not just alpine skiing. Places like Villard-de-Lans and Coronçon Vercors are particularly good for Nordic skiing. So you've got 155 kilometers of cross-country trails, which is pretty impressive, for all levels as well, kind of experts and people such as myself who struggle to stay balanced on those really thin skis.
Not an easy thing to do.
Not an easy thing to do, no. So you say Les Deux Alpes and Alpe d'Huez, we'll start with them because, as you know, they're the kind of the big ones. And
big boys,
you've both skied there. I mean, Les Deux Alpes, amazing skiing. Obviously, the glacier, huge highlight, reaching up to 3,600 meters. What I love about it is that, obviously you have great snow up there, but the runs are accessible to all ski levels. So, often as a beginner, you're kept down at the bottom of the mountain. Whereas there you can go up to the glacier, you can do some great skiing, and you kind of go, this is what it's all about. Amazing views, great snow. And I think that's a really, really positive. Positive.
It really does give beginners the ability to really see what we're all seeing, because it's a little it's not let alone unfair. It doesn't give them the true experience, does it?
Completely. I mean, if you're stuck down the bottom, kind of, falling over in the sort of not as good snow, then you're kind of wondering what all the fuss is about.
And Katja, can you just explain that if you are a beginner and you go up the mountain in Les Deux Alpes to the, almost to the top, how do you then get back down again? Because obviously it's a very long way to ski down, isn't it, from the top of the mountain?
Yeah, I wouldn't advise that if you were a beginner, but you can get the lift back down. And actually you have this amazing new lift, which I know we're going to talk about some of the new developments, but you've got the new Gendry Express, which is opening this season, which is kind of halving the time that people can take to get from the bottom of the resort up to the top. I think something, it was 40 minutes and it's down to sort of about 20 odd, but it's this extraordinary new lift that is new technology, super fast, wind resistant, and kind of whizzing people up and down again if you don't want to ski down.
That's fantastic, isn't it? I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of the bigger ones. Are there any others that you're thinking, that we need to really hone in on?
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got obviously Alpe d'Huez, nicknamed the island in the sunshine. You'll see that when you go, Dom, lots and lots of sunshine, apparently 300 days of sunshine a year. Have you skied La Sarenne, the longest black run in Europe?
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, it's a good one. So it starts at Pic Long, which is at 3,300, and it's supposed to be 16 kilometers down. So there's some debate as to whether it is actually 16 kilometers, but I skied it last winter, and it definitely felt like 16 kilometers once I did.
I'll start doing my squat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll do those while we're on the podcast.
Yeah, completely.
It is a long run, isn't it? And it starts off fairly steep from memory. It's been a few years since I've skied it, but it starts off fairly steep, and then it kind of mellows out, but it gets quite narrow, doesn't it, in sections?
Completely.
Yeah.
But there's a nice, you've got that steep bit at the beginning, which I think is what probably makes it a black run. But then, you have some nice little mogul sections, some narrow sections, some big wide open kind of cruisy bits. It's a really fun. It's a fun. It is
fun, and it's a proper challenge, though, isn't it? But it's an achievable challenge. It's one of those tick off the list runs that you can do if you're, I would say, like you're competent skier, confident on red runs, and you want a bit of an adventure. And you maybe have skied, the odd black here and there, and you're happy and comfortable with that. And it's kind of like an achievable thing at that point. But it's
you don't have to be a super expert skier, But you do have to be, I'd say, comfortable on reds and up for the challenge.
Absolutely. Mm.
Yeah.
Fun.
So obviously, then you've got Vaugeny and Oz 3,300 and Auris and Oisan. They're all you have access to the Alpe d'Huez ski domain. And Vaugeny, I was there last Christmas with my youngest. And it's great. This is such a nice little village, really feels like a traditional village. And it's got this great story behind it. So you don't have ski in, ski out with Vaugeny. So it sort of during the 70s and 80s, when it saw kind of Alpe d'Huez growing and becoming sort of, ski destination, and obviously bringing in some money, and it was sort of sat there and couldn't offer ski and ski out. And then in the 80s, the government embarked on the country's largest hydroelectric project in the valley below. So the locals were awarded sort of millions in compensation for their flooded land. And they decided to kind of gain access to this ski domain. So they built this enormous 160-person Vaugeny Alpec cable car to link their tiny village to the ski domain. And so it's really, I love the fact that they had that sort of foresight to do it. But it's meant that the village has stayed really quite small and traditional. You have cockerels crowing in the morning and chickens running around. Really brilliant resort for families. Got the Famille Plus label.
Yeah,
so,
I was there a couple of seasons ago, and it was really, really lovely. Beautiful little resort, proper chocolate box place, isn't it?
Yeah, I just thought it was great. And then you've got Auris and Oisan, which is another great resort that sort of sits within this kind of spruce forest. That is ski in, ski out, so a really nice one if you don't want the faff of carrying skis, which is always a pain if you're with kids. And Oz 3,300, again, another nice family ski in, ski out that also offers, ice climbing and dog sledding and lots of kind of fun things to do once you're off the slopes. So that's kind of that Alpe d'Huez ski area. Have you been to either of those, Oz 3,300 or Auris?
I haven't. I've been to. No, I haven't. It's a quick answer.
The village connected to Alpe d'Huez domain. Yeah. I have skied down to those places in the past, but it was so long ago. But I think I was there in the early 1990s for the first time in that region when it was still relatively new, those connections. But really
on wooden skis, wasn't it, Rob?
Cable bindings.
Yeah.
And those
leather
boot.
And
you should have seen me in a tweed jacket.
Oh,
I tell you what.
But from sleeping tonight.
Yes, I mean. So the last time I skied those steep runs, Katja, from the top of Alpe d'Huez, I was on the old style skis, that's for sure, the straight skis. So, I need to go back with some proper freeride skis and try it out.
Right, we're doing well, Katja. Only 19 more to go.
Just a couple more. So let's see. So you've got the Belledonne chain of mountains. You've got a couple of resorts that are really worth being on your radar. So Les Sept-Lots, which I know you said you talked about before. I love Les Sept-Lots. I went there with my youngest a couple of years ago, and I think it's a great free ride destination. There's some brilliant off-piste. It's a really fun resort, purpose built. Not your typically sort of pretty mountain destination, but it works well. What I really love about it is if you're going with kids, is they have this brilliant run called the Squirrel Route, which runs, you know how you have one of those themed kids routes where you sort of hit things and, go through tunnels. But this one kind of goes throughout the ski domain. So it takes about 2 hours to finish. So you go up, lots of chairlifts, and you go down blue runs and green runs. And again, as a novice skier, you're actually seeing the mountain. So we did this like endlessly, we do it once, and then Sam would say, can we do it again? So we do it again, but actually as an adult as well, it's then a fun thing to do. Also in the Belledonne chain, you've got Chartreuse, which is just 30 kilometers from Grenoble. So you can do just go for a day trip or combine a kind of city ski trip. And that's where the 1968 Olympic Games took place.
Okay.
So they have a bit of claim to fame, and they've also got this world's largest pylon zip line. So it kind of goes parallel to one of the chairlifts, and you kind of zip over the slopes for about 2 kilometers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Haven't done it yet, but
sounds fun.
Sounds quite fun.
I like a bit of zip line.
Yeah, you'll like that.
And then also just sort of south of Grenoble in the Vercors area, you've got Corenson Vercors, Villard-de-Lans. They're 2 separate villages, but joined by the sort of ski area. So they're known as the Villard-Corenson ski area. And it's a good one for beginners, but they do have, some more challenging runs, but a nice one for sort of novice skiers. And also, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, you've got really good for Nordic skiing. So that's kind of a broad overview of some of the resorts that should be on your radar in Isère.
And for those listeners, I'm going to make sure that in the notes, you've got links to all of these resorts in case you're not as fluent as Katja, your friend. You're able to fully catch the name of those resorts. So we'll make sure they're all in the podcast notes with links to them, so you can read more yourself after the podcast.
Katja, loads of resorts. There's obviously, as we've said, some really big names in there, such as Alpe d'Huez, des Alpes. What's happening in those ski resorts this season? Any big news? We've touched already on the new lift in the des Alpes. But what else is going on?
Le des Alpes, big news is Le Gendry replacing the Gendry Express. And then you've got Alpe d'Huez, you've got the FIS Moguls World Cup taking place mid-December. So single and parallel moguls, which would be fun. And back to Le des Alpes, they're hosting the Cross Cup and the Snowboard Cross World Cup again in 2025.
Okay.
So those will be good. And then the other big news is that La Grande Odyssée, do you know this? La Grande Odyssée, the annual international dog sledding race, where you have these hundreds of mushers and their dogs, and they travel over 13 days, more than 250 kilometers. There's 11 stages, and it's passing through this year Les Laux and Villard-de-Lans. So that's pretty exciting.
Oh, wow.
It's super exciting. I remember Deb went out to one of those, and the video footage alone was just so exciting to watch. It was almost like a Tour de France type thing, but with the mushers, and it was just, fantastic. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, me too. I think it would be an amazing spectacle just to see these teams kind of.
Yeah.
So is that like a one-day event in those places?
So there's 11 stages. So one of the stages or 2 of the stages are passing through Isère. And 2 of the stages it will be. Yeah.
Nice.
It is typically a little bit like the Tour de France, where they just come through at that point in time, and you've all got to be there. And I saw the one that she was at, I think was a nighttime finishing stage, and the speed at which they all came in at, and the noise and the dog. I mean, just really, really, the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. It was almost like a World Cup ski race. It was really, really good fun.
Yeah.
So what do you see as being unique selling points, really, of this area?
So what do I think? I mean, I mentioned before that you've got this sort of variety. What I really like about this region is that it can be really affordable. So, you have, I mentioned Les Laux, really popular with French families, hardly any English voices when I was there. Lift passes, accommodation, all cheaper than you would get in some of the, big resorts like
Now you've got my attention.
Yeah. And I mean, significantly cheaper lift passes. And so I think, price is one. Accessibility, we've touched on how Geneva Airport in the height of Christmas or February half term is not where you want to be. So the fact that you've got Grenoble, Lyon, Chambéry, You've got them as options as well as the train, obviously. So easy to access. And you sort of slightly different terrain. So the Vercors in particular, it's beautiful. You've got these sort of tree-lined slopes, these limestone crags. I mean, just a very different sort of scenery to perhaps what you might be used to in some of the more well-known results. So, a bit of variety, cheaper, easy to access, and skiing somewhere new, somewhere that lots of other people don't know about is always fun.
Yeah.
And what about, have you got any favourites, Katja, in that area? I mean, you've been to quite a number of the resorts now in the Isère region. So is there one that maybe sticks out for you personally?
Well, I always like going back to Les Deux Alpes. I just think it's really, like the resort. I think it's got, really fun vibe, as the young kids would say. I like the skiing there. Love going up to the glacier. I'm excited about this new express lift, which I think will really make sort of accessing it that much easier. Big fan of Vaugeny. When I went last year for the first time, I just think it's a really, really nice resort. I think it's a great one for families. I think if you're looking for après ski, it's not the place to be. It's very family focused, great sort of leisure facilities, pools and bowling and that kind of thing. But it's just, it's fun. It's small, self-contained, and feels kind of authentic still. And Les Sept Lots, which I've mentioned many times, but I just think that's really has something for everyone. You stick the kids in ski school and you can go and do some really brilliant skiing, some challenging runs, and then a lot of options for kids as well.
That's a few favourites, Katja.
That's a few favourites. I know you only asked me one.
I mean, we'll let you have it. I mean,
She abused the whole favourite position there, didn't she? Blatantly.
I can understand that.
I'm thinking back to, and I know all three of us have been in this boat of needing a resort for sort of much younger children, the real sort of beginners, not skied before, just starting out. We've all slightly more matured since then. Our children are now able to ski and things like this. But thinking about people who have got early stage skiers and beginner skier children, are there any because it sounds like you've probably got some tips for them as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, kids can all ski now, but they still moan about carrying their skis. So, So I think the Villard-Corençon ski area would be a great option. I think it's just laid back, no wild kind of après ski. It's 12 green runs, 9 blues, some reds and blacks as well, but really a nice place to kind of get your ski legs. And good value as well. So, and then also they have some really fun kind of après ski family activities. So you can go and have like a raclette or fondue picnic in the forest. You can go snowshoeing in search of winter wildlife. And they've got this, I haven't tried this yet, which it's called Canibalade. You basically go dog trekking. So you go walking in the forest with dogs, and like really small kids can get put in a sort of Scandinavian sleigh and they get pulled along by dogs. So they've got some kind of fun.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice.
Fun family activities.
Love that, because I think all too often skier families or skier couples, when they have children, they're all too quick to try and just shove them onto skis and get them skiing as much as they can a day. And you can actually do the reverse thing, doing stuff like that. I think small, little ski days, 20 minutes on a slope, but doing all those other activities is what kids make them go home and remember skiing as being a fantastic thing. Even though the actual skiing part was small. All those extra activities, that sounds great. I'm not going to have another child so I can go and do all those things. But
never say never.
Dad will be running a mile at this rate. But that does sound very cool.
Yeah, and it's it's really beautiful, the Vercors forest. So I think that's a good one. I think if you are a family that parents really want to just ski, looking at somewhere like Oz 3300 or Auris and Oisan, where they have access to the Alpe d'Huez, but the kids have that ski in, ski out convenience. Auris and Oisan has a free kids activities and a kids club, and those two are just 90 minutes from Grenoble as well, so you have that ease of access. So that kind of keeps everybody happy.
I think it's a really good point actually about young kids and needing that little bit of a balance between being on the slopes. They don't need a day on the slopes, and if you've got all of those other things going on around as well, and all those fun things. It's gonna hook those kids into the whole experience, isn't it? It's gonna make them just have a brilliant time, which is what we all want. What about like more kind of on the ski touring and free ride side of things, Katja? What if you're looking for that kind of adventure? Where's the best places in the region for that?
Yeah, you definitely want to be looking at the sort of bigger resorts. So the Duez, huge area kind of to discover on and off piste. The Des Alpes as well, great for going off tracks. They actually run weekly sessions, which is really good if you want to kind of learn a bit more about going off piste. They raising awareness, use of safety equipment, that kind of thing.
So is that the resort itself that organises that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's through the tourist office, I think. Okay. And Laux is really known for its free riding as well. And, always recommend going with a guide if you don't know where you're going. But
absolutely,
some really great areas to be discovered.
So Laux in particular, is well known for its free rides. It's kind of like it's got all this family side to it and accessibility to Grenoble, but it's also got this kind of free ride element as well. So it's kind of got those two things. So I guess, that's quite exciting for families that maybe have different, or groups that have different ability levels as well. Completely.
And it's funny because it is this resort that has so much to offer, but it's really not that well known with British skiers,
Yeah.
But it's great. It's not a huge nightlife, so maybe that's something that puts maybe a younger crowd off. I don't know, but it's a good place.
Okay.
It definitely burst onto our scenes. I think last year and the year before, it suddenly came onto all of our radar. So it's interesting to see that, they're clearly keen to get people into that region, which is fantastic, and it clearly is worth it.
Dom, we need to get ourselves down to Laux and check it out, because, we've talked a lot about the place, and obviously, we've had experts coming in to talk about it as well. It's time we went. I think
we need to become the experts. I need to learn the French like Katja. I want to speak French like Katja, or at least have the accent. She probably can't speak French. I think she's just got a very good accent. Yeah, flag it until I catch you. And then, definitely to try out Laux. I was interested ever since we did that podcast episode, and to get down there and experience it for ourselves is an absolute must for sure.
We'll make that work, Dom.
Definitely. Katja, I have booked to go, as you know, before Christmas with Peak Retreats. And I was about to ask you, where can people book a holiday to one of these destinations in the Isère region? So please do go ahead.
I recommend booking through Peak Retreats, who offer a huge range of accommodation in all of these resorts that we've talked about. Sam and I, my youngest, stayed in a Peak Retreats property when we were in Les Laux. Lovely 2-bed apartment, so right on the slope, so we could click in our skis, didn't have to carry Sam's skis, always a bonus. I go on about this a lot. My kids moan a lot about carrying skis.
You can catch them at peakretreats.co.uk. They're French specialists, and they're also great at these little, maybe slightly lesser known resorts as well, aren't they? So I know that they do cover the big resorts as well, but they cover those sort of nice little niche resorts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And they know can answer any questions you might have about those resorts. They really know what they're talking about.
And I know, Dom, that if you go to the Peak Retreats website and you go to their menu, the ski resort section, there's actually a whole section on that website about the Isère region as well, and the ski resorts.
Yeah, they've got it covered. I booked with the right people. I didn't even know that.
Well done.
I like it. I'm happy. So also with Peak Retreats on social media, they've got their Instagram at peak_retreats and Facebook at Peak Retreats. So great chance to go and find out more there. They are absolute experts in this area. We love the guys at Peak Retreats, hence why I booked with them as well, because they're very knowledgeable and they're very hand-holding, look after you when you're going away. So they've got everything organised for us as I go with our family, who sound like they moan slightly less than yours, Katja, but all good. So it sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for your expertise today, Katja. It's been great talking to you. You've definitely enlightened us on a lot of information there, which is great for us and great for our listeners as well. Yeah, and for your fabulous French accent telling us about these resorts. I'm going to make sure they're all in our notes today of the podcast, so people can go ahead and click on those links and find out where they can find more about those fabulous destinations.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me on. Always happy to talk skiing. Always happy to talk about Isère.
Thanks, Katja. Maybe see you on the slopes of Isère this season.
This is the season. We need to make it happen.
This is the season.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
So there you go, Rob. We've learnt a load of great stuff there from our resident expert, Katja. It's been great,
Absolutely.
Isn't it? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I loved that area when I went there back in the day, as it was. And I haven't had the opportunity to travel to the Isère region for many years. So I think it is time to get back there for myself. I mean, you're going there. I know you're quite a regular visitor, Dom, to the area. I've got lots of fond memories, but yeah, I need to get back for sure.
So what have you got coming up next, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, it's the end of November. Towards the end of November, I'm heading off to the Alps, Dom. I've got to go into Austria, and then I'm going to head over to the French Alps very quickly after that as well. What about you?
So, yeah, just my Alpe d'Huez that's coming up just pre-Christmas. So it's unusual for us to go pre-Christmas, but we're gonna go out there and we're going to show people you can still ski before Christmas.
Brilliant.
And that's what I'm out there to prove. And I'm hoping to drive down in a rather unusual car. So let's see how that pans out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, skiing before Christmas, I do a couple of trips before Christmas every winter. And people that I'm organising the trip with often say, are you sure about this, Rob? And I go, I'm absolutely 100% sure. And, you know, every time, touch wood and all that, every time, even when the season's a little bit slow to kick off, we've always had, pretty much always, maybe not always, but 9 times out of 10. And I mean that. We've had good snow conditions. And so I'm confident. I think skiing before Christmas is you know, it's great. It's not too crowded. Prices are a little bit easier on the pocket. And I know this year there's so many flight options back up and running again. You know, there's so many flights now compared to a couple of years ago. The options are really, really good for an early season trip.
Good stuff. Well, then you've got me wound up, Rob. I can't wait. So thanks for listening today, everybody. Don't forget to visit our new website, thewhiteowlpodcast.com. You can search all the back episodes for anything you're looking for. So you can chuck in Les Settlers and find that episode very easily. Plus, don't forget to leave us a review. Very good if you leave us a review because it helps other like-minded skiers find this podcast. In the meantime, we have a competition coming up in next week's episode. And, of course, Ed Drake joining us for our race corner next time. In the meantime, Rob, have a great week, and it's good to talk to you.
You too, John. Thank you.
Bye. Walkie-walkie. Pretty sure it's called a walkie-talkie, mate.